Hello, everyone. Welcome to another live stream with myself, Martin, and this is ELT Experiences. So it's great for you to join. If you do have any comments or questions, feel free to post them in the comments, and we'll have a look at any questions, queries, anything that you have in terms of online English teaching, Preply, language learning. As a whole, I suppose. But today we're going to be joining with two tutors, both Francisco and Bushra, and so they're both tuned in today. But just as a reminder, anyone who's watching, please let me know where you're tuning in from, and also any questions that you may have. Okay, just to remind yourselves. Post your questions in the comments. The live stream is held every 1 p.m. on a Saturday. And as the clocks went back recently, it might be a different time to where you're tuning in from. But here in the UK, we tend to put our clocks back and forth. So that is that. Okay. Now, I'm going to invite both Bushra and Francisco to join us. So here we are. So Bushra and Francisco, hello and welcome.
Hello, Martin. How are you?
Very well.
Hello.
Thank you, Bushra. Hello, Francisco. Nice for you to join us. And
Hello, Martin.
well, both of you. Now, let's see. So
Thank you.
let's get started. And then maybe Bushra, to begin with, could you tell me more about yourself and how you got on to teaching via Preply?
Okay, first of all, let me introduce myself. And before introduction, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night to all the viewers. While some of you might be already in your comfy PJs and getting, or the other might be getting ready for the day by having brewing cup of coffee in their hand. So uh, you know that. So welcome to all. First of all, my name is Bushra, and I have recently completed my bachelor's of business administration with 3.7 for CGPA. While I was a student at a university, I discovered this thing that I have this skill of teaching. So I was also teaching in my university to students. Like I was preparing them for entrance tests like SATs and all the entrance tests that happen here. So that was the I that was the time when I discovered this skill that I have this thing in me. So then I joined the workforce, and I was doing a corporate job in one of the brokerage house here, and I was working as a research analyst where I was analyzing different stocks of the stock market. So during that time, I started exploring freelancing, and the COVID time, we were facing this pandemic, and we needed some extra source of income. So I started searching for the websites who are allowing us to be a part of this global tutor community and showcase our skills and help students around the world. So there I found the Preply, and I just made just answered all the questions and prepared my tutor application and my tutor account there. And soon, I think in a week or so, I got a response, and I was accepted. So I think I joined Preply in November 2021, and since then I've taught students from around the globe, and like I've taught students from Jamaica, UK, USA, Singapore, and so many countries to name I don't even remember right now. So that's a little about me. And the subject, or the main subject that I teach, is business and management. There are around I think 60, like 53 to be exact, teachers and Preply right now who are teaching business and management related courses. So yeah, that's a little introduction about myself.
Oh, thank you, Bushra. So, yeah, one of my questions is, what were you going to be, or what are you teaching on Preply? And you mentioned already business and management, which is great. And okay, so Francisco, how about yourself? What brought you on to Preply, and what do you teach? How did you get onto online teaching? Okay, I'm not entirely sure if his connection is good. Just bear with me. Can you hear me okay?
When I was
Okay,
yes,
sorry, you're just
okay,
breaking up,
I am clear now.
Francisco.
Yes. Okay. So
Okay.
when I just recall, yes, when I first entered into Preply, yes, that was between October and November 2021.
Hmm.
And right then, well, it was a curious experience. Firstly, I remember that year I was into an English club. Yes, it was a book club, and well, after that, I found myself I was entrusted with managing the group or in that case. Well, I started uh, to I started by acquiring a TOEFL course on myself. Just on the other hand, well, after I was done with it, yes, I then started learning many systems where I can keep learning as
Uh,
long as I could find the privilege in that case. Yes.
right. Okay. Sorry,
Uh,
Francisco. You're just breaking up a little bit. I can't quite hear. So just please check your connection. Just make sure your connection's clear. Um, so you started in about October, November 2021. I guess similar time to Bushra. And Francisco, what are you teaching on Preply? Is it English, another language, or what?
and well, in my case, I teach English. Yes. Uh, some of my students they have been taking lessons with me. They have been from Mexico, from Chile, or even I had the opportunity to find other connationals as I am from Colombia,
Mhm,
so I could find at least three students, three
mhm,
Colombian students, one of them living in Ecuador, the other one, which was an interesting case, living right that moment in the Netherlands, and well,
mhm.
then from Chile.
I see. All right. Well,
Yes.
thank you for sharing. Okay, we've already
So
got our
that's
first.
that.
Sorry. Thank you for sharing, Francisco. We've got our first comment here, someone from India. So thank you ever so much for tuning in. Good evening to the resource person. So, yeah, nice for you to join us. Also, nice to learn. And I'm interested to teach English literature for global students. So that's quite interesting. Right. Well, one of my other questions. Just bear with me. Bushra, to begin with. So, can you tell me a bit more about the difficulties that you encountered whilst facing on Preply?
Okay, so I begin in November 2021, and initially, as you know, that all tutors they struggle with getting their new students or acquiring new students, right? So I
Hmm.
had to look into all the details that the Preply gave out as a guidelines that what are the do's and don'ts, and what you should do to make your profile stand out. So I try to use those do's and don'ts and try to like make my video, the video introduction, interactive, because you see I have a bachelor's qualification right now, and I'm soon going to be a master's student. So how to compete well with teachers who are already like PhD levels, or they have done masters. So
Hmm.
I have to offer something which would make me stand out. So this is the major difficulty that I faced. And so I tried, like, I now bringing in the I will be using some business jargons or terminologies there. So there is one term in business which is used, USP, unique selling proposition, right?
Hmm.
So I have to find that unique selling proposition of mine, so that people would be like students, potential students would be attracted to my profile and book a trial lesson with me. So I thought that maybe I should like think I need to think from the perspective of student. When a student is booking a lesson, then what is the requirements, like what, like if I'm going on a preply website right now as a student, and I'm looking and searching for business and management tutors, then what would be my requirements? So
Hmm.
based on that, then I changed my video because I was not getting students. And after the change, that after the editing that I did, and I changed the format or content of my video, I started to get students. So that was the major change. And I simply just did, I followed the guidelines which were given
Hmm.
by the Preply. And I also start thinking from the perspective of students. Now you see that time, like it's been a year since I've been teaching now. For me, I think the one principle that I've made for myself is that be empathetic with your students. Think from the perspective of students, then only you can succeed, or you get the chances of retention or chances to get uh, more students is going to increase, because there are diligent teachers, diligent tutors out there who are available to teach and showcase their skills. So you need to make sure that you have something unique or distinct to offer. So yeah, the other than that, the major difficulty that I faced was the technical difficulty, like using the Preply platform. So I
Hmm.
used to like initial times, or I used to face that how to start up, and like let's suppose if I'm having a lecture or we are doing a math related questions with my students, now we want to continue in our next session. So
Hmm.
how to store that whatever we have discussed in that platform, and then continue from the same slide or same thing that we have already discussed. So for me to get to this technical side of the Preply platform was quite a challenge. But then I got a grip on it, then it became easy. But still, I think the Preply platform, sometimes it glitches, so we have to switch to other platforms and use those
Hmm.
platforms. But I think the Preply is working on that, and so far it has improved. So
Hmm.
yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing. You mentioned quite a few points there. I'm going to bring Francesco in. And so, Francesco, what about yourself? What sort of difficulties have you encountered on Preply?
All right. Well, now that you mention it, yes, perhaps one of the most common difficulties, including me, is when it comes to finding new students. Yes.
Hmm.
Obviously, a trial lesson is quite challenging because at that moment you are facing a new student for the first time. You must do your best in order to make sure that the student can the
Oh,
can
sorry, you're just breaking up there,
tell
Francesco.
about
So,
this. And
um,
well, yeah,
sorry, you're just breaking up there. I'll bring you back in a moment. We've already got Mattia here. Shout out to Martin. Since I started working on Preply, this channel helped me a lot. Keep up the good work. Thank you ever so much, Mattia, for commenting. If you do have any questions, feel free to ask. I'll be happy to answer, or Bushra or Francisco for the moment. Um, anyhow, I'm very sorry, Francisco. If you could check your connection, please check your internet connection. Make sure it's stable. Otherwise, it's a bit difficult to hear what you're trying to say. Right. Well, one point that Bushra mentioned. Bushra, are you there?
Yes,
Yep.
yes, I can hear you.
Perfect. All right. Well, one thing that you mentioned was about the video, the Preply video, and then you had your first video up on Preply, and through your research, you discovered what other business and management tutors were offering, which is great. Um, and I suppose one thing that you could do for any tutors is discover your competitors. What are your competitors offering? How much are they offering? Is your price competitive compared to other tutors, and what about their videos? And I suppose you mentioned once you updated and edited that video and updated it and uploaded it, you started getting some more students. So could you tell me a bit more about maybe some of the key characteristics that you've included in a introduction video for potential students?
Okay, so the first of all, see, they know already your name, okay, and they might have also read your about section. So you have to offer something else in the video, okay. So the student, as if again thinking from the perspective of a student, first they are not going to go to the video and see the video, okay. The first thing, let's suppose if they are reading the subheading under your name, that what you are offering, then the most likely they are first going to read the about section, okay. So most of the time the video, they will be like, if the about section is, they feel interested, then only they are going to proceed to the video. So you see, this is how it works. So first you have to make sure that your about section is the main door, that you have to first make your about section interesting. Then only your and in your video you have to be more now you do not have enough time to explain everything in detail, right?
Hmm.
So so first I was only offering one subject, okay. Like I was only offering IGCSE students that I would teach business studies or business related courses. So I, within a niche, I'm further fine tuned my niche. So that was that I have restricted myself to only IGCSE students. I'm not catering to their students who is like in the US, mostly the students, they study IB board. And around
Hmm.
the world, like in Asia also, there is not only one, like Cambridge or UK board. There are different boards around the world. So why I was restricting myself only to one particular niche. So I changed and I updated and I included that I'm also teaching these other boards. Then sooner or later I was also teaching students from like different universities, like from like Spain, from even currently I'm also teaching up students who is enrolled in master's program in Australia. So I added that I'm also teaching university students as well who are studying
Hmm.
business courses or business degrees. So I first defined who my audience is. So first of all, you need to define your audience, like your
Hmm.
potential students, so that they know that, okay, will the person will be able to cater to my needs or not, okay.
Hmm.
So that is the first thing that you do. The second is that you have to you have to actually explicitly mention that why should you book a trial lesson with me, like what extra, how will I add value in the
Hmm.
sessions that we are going to have. And you have to give a little a touch of that, what the sessions or classes are going to look like, right? So these are the things that I included in my video, and that really helped me out because the student can now get the picture that, okay, this is what she knows, this is
Hmm.
what she can teach, and what will be her teaching style. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so a couple of points, I suppose. Within an introduction video, I guess one is what do you offer? What sort of um, solution do you provide for your students?
Mhm.
The second, also about you and what who you are and what you do, what you teach. I think all that is very good. And I suppose for me, when I produce a introduction video, whether it's for Preply or for new potential online students, I tend to focus on, what can I give, what can I do, like yourself, differently to other tutors, and what can I offer which other tutors don't have, and maybe a call to action at the end. So it's always a good idea at the end of a introduction video, saying if you want to succeed in business studies or your university course, book with me and I'll see you in class. And it gives that sort of essence for potential students to go,
Yes.
right, I'm going to book a class and see how it goes. Yeah. Right. Francesca's back. So let's see. Are you there, Francesco? Can you hear us okay? Yeah, I'm not sure. Sorry. Okay, Francisco, if you're there, just try and work out the connection issue. I suppose for us as online tutors, the internet connection is very important. And
Yes.
occasionally we do have these issues, particularly myself, when the internet goes down and I have to try and find a solution. Anyway, we've got one question here. This person says, what are the ICT tools have used for impactful teaching and learning? So what sort of IT tools, IT software do you use to help with your teaching and learning online?
Okay. So as you know that I have a diverse portfolio. I do not only teach like business to one particular segment. So I have to prepare, and you know that the exam season is around the corner. Everyone has exam in
Mhm.
like May, business, whether it's like Cambridge or AQA, whatever it is. So I have to
Yeah.
make sure that I have like, so obviously before attending a session or before conducting a session, you need to have a plan, right? What you are going to teach today, and you have to be updated. Like I'm currently teaching 5 students from preply, and then I also teach in other platforms as well. So in total right now I am teaching 14 students. So I have to make sure that I know everything, that last time with this particular student what subject or what topic I was discussing, because the student doesn't know that how busy your schedule is. They are going to say that okay, you only teach me. So I have to be on that level, that okay, the last time we did this, remember? So continuing on that, so I always keep a planner, and I actually usually teach on tablet. So I have a Samsung tablet, so I have a notes there for each particular. So for me, like digital pen and digital these boards or dashboards, these are very important when you are teaching technical subjects like business or mathematics, because you
Mm-hmm.
cannot using the whiteboard here with the laptop. If you do not have a digital pen or so, it gets difficult. Sometimes you have to draw accurate graphs and so. So
Mm-hmm.
one thing is that you need to, if you are teaching like technical courses, then you need to have these things with yourself. The other thing is that you were talking about the internet issues, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I have one internet connection which is like my main one, and then I have two other backups with me. So if like
Mm-hmm.
that, so because the student should not get this feeling that I'm not making an effort, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I make sure that I am always like I'm available, I'm there before time, I'm punctual, and
Mm-hmm.
there is no problem, internet connection problem from my side. So like if you want to stand out, again the competition, you know that this market is saturated. So to again to offer the best of the best, you have to provide the best quality, and for that
Mm-hmm.
you might need to have a backups as well. Other than that, I also rely on, like, let's suppose if the Preply platform is glitching, or the student is new to Preply and doesn't know how to use the Preply platform, or he
Mm-hmm.
or she is familiar with Zoom or Google Meet, then I also, beforehand, I give them the Google Meet or Zoom link as well, that if you are unable to join through Preply platform, then you can join via these other platforms, so that we
Mm-hmm.
start our sessions on time. So
Mm-hmm.
these are some tools that I use. Other than that, yeah, I'm still exploring, and I'm still, and now, if you might know about this, the Chat GPT is there, the AI tool,
Mm-hmm.
which
Yeah.
is like, which tutors can use for their help to prepare
Mm-hmm.
for, like, to just to, if you have a busy schedule for a week, so to make a
Mm-hmm.
timetable, appropriate timetable, it can help you. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
there are a lot of tools to help.
There certainly is a lot of tools. It's interesting to hear that you offer both an alternative to Preply for those that are unfamiliar with it. Like Google Meet, also a Zoom link, and I've taught students on Skype and various other tools as well. Chat GPT is certainly an alternative. It can be very useful for students and teachers. And also on top of that, I tend to use Google Drive, so the online documents, so students have access to it. They can contribute, and we can share it after the
Yes.
class as well, so they have access to it once the class is finished. And I suppose one drawback for the Preply whiteboard as it is once the lesson's finished, the student can't really access the whiteboard unless
Yes.
they log on and go in. They don't have an alternative way of saving it other than being there in the class at that
Yes.
time. Yeah. Right. Well, yeah, I hope that helps. So thank you ever so much for your question here. Right. We've got Marina who's just joined us. So she says, I'm a new teacher. Thank you ever so much for joining, Marina. What should I do to be a professional? Okay. I've got a few ideas myself. How about yourself, Bushra? What sort of advice would you give Marina?
Again, you need to make sure that whatever lessons that you are like say what before when a new student books a trial lesson with me, okay,
Mm-hmm.
so you first send a thank you message, so that thank you for giving me a chance, and I'll make sure that whatever your learning goal is, we are going to work together as a team to achieve your learning goal. And you send the first introductory, like some like a thank you message. And then before the trial lesson, you ask the student that what is their most of the time the student is going to be like the student himself or herself is going to mention that this is what I am looking for, like my IGCSE business studies exam is coming in like May. So, and I need to be prepared, I need to work how to solve the past papers, how to write the
Mm-hmm.
answers, or they are going to specify what their needs are. But if
Mm-hmm.
they are not very specific, then before the trial lesson, you make sure that you ask your students about this, that well, like what exactly what exactly do they want from you, right? And how you can help them better. So this is going to give you a rough idea that okay, this is what the requirements of my students are. So you see the trial lesson, the 50-minute trial lesson or 1 hour, you have almost 1 hour to sell your skill or to sell
Mm-hmm.
yourself, because in that trial lesson the student is going to evaluate your knowledge, that how much you know, what is your teaching style.
Mm-hmm.
Some teachers are, they try to be formal, and some are like in like they take it casually class. So you need to understand your student as well. Okay, the other thing that, okay, so the first thing is that you have to know their students requirements before you are conducting a trial lesson. So this is first thing, that how you can be more professional. The other thing is that in your first initial lessons, I try that you have like your video is on and your student can actually see you, because you know the visuals or having like this video on makes it creates a great difference, right? Because the student can see that okay, how professionally you are dressed, or do you have all the equipments around you, and
Mm-hmm.
there is not any more like chaos around you, and you can conduct class in a very like nice way. So these are the few things that are going to add that are going to show that how professional you are. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
then before introducing yourself, when you are introducing yourself, make sure that you mention your qualifications, how many students you have catered so far, so
Mm-hmm.
that they know that they can rely on you, that you are experienced enough, because
Mm-hmm.
obviously they are investing their time, they're investing their money. So you have to sound, or you have to make every minute of your class
Mm-hmm.
worthwhile for them. Also the most important thing is that be punctual, be be like 15 minutes early or 10 minutes early if you can be, then punctuality is the best. Like this is the basic measure of your
Mm.
professionalism, right?
Yeah, I think, yeah, Marina, I'm not sure whether she's teaching, I assume it's she, whether they are teaching online or whether they're teaching face to face. But I think, yeah, it's very important that professionalism is, key. A lot of what you've said is very important, arriving before the classes start, whether it's online or face to face. If it's a physical classroom, make sure you spend that time before preparing your lessons. Arrive if it's a classroom, if you're teaching there, then get to the classroom before the students arrive. If it's online, again, start the lesson slightly earlier and welcome the student in when they're ready to start. So that's very important. And I think the initial lesson that you mentioned is crucial, where you develop that rapport with the students. Whether so they get to know you and you can get to know them. And I think my first year of teaching was very it wasn't easy. It was more about me learning about who I am as a teacher or as a tutor. And I think it's very important nowadays to be able to share yourself and learn more about yourself as a tutor. Right. Another question that Marina's posted up here on YouTube is that the students don't respect me because I'm young. Um, yeah, I'm not entirely sure. For me, I started teaching when I was in my mid-20s, early adulthood, I suppose. How about yourself, Bushra? What advice would you recommend for Marina?
Okay. So first of all, the age group that I get is around like 12, no, not like 14 to, I have like taught around like 40. A student of mine who was studying business English from me was 46. So I have a very wide range here.
Mhm.
So yeah, you do get a feeling that some students, like young students, they are the teenagers, they seem that okay, she is just, because I am in my mid 20s, but the problem is that I don't look like that. I'm in my mid 20s, I look like a teenager. So this is a problem. They feel like okay, she's of our age, what, how can, so there are like pre-assumptions that she won't be able to teach us, or she will be too friendly with us, you know. So you have to, for such students, the mostly that queries I get is from the parents. The parents,
Mhm.
they are my actual customers, they are dealing with me. So I make sure that I send them like messages on like on like Preply platform, that I can chat with them and I can daily discuss whatever we discussed in a session. And I
Mhm.
feel that there was a thing that students were not serious about the lesson. My students have never like disrespected me or so like that, but it seems that they are like distracted, or they are not interested in the class. So I make sure that I'm being interactive with them, and I'm asking questions, and then again and again I try to make my lessons interesting for them. But if I feel that they are still distracted, or they just want to get done with the sessions, so share my thoughts. My, like, after every sessions I send the feedback to the parent that this is
Mhm.
what we discussed today, this is the little home assignment that I have given him or her
Mhm.
for just a reinforcement. And I was feeling that like XYZ student, I'm not naming my students, was not attentive in the class and was not very, I feel that he was tired. So make sure when he takes the second session or the next session, he is attentive, and he's not tired, he has like well rested, and he has enough
Mhm.
snacks, and so that he can take the make most out of this session. So yeah, these are
Yeah.
some things that I do, that I share this day to day, sorry, after each session I share my feedback with the
Mhm.
parents.
It's true. Particularly if you're teaching children, you're going to be dealing with the parents, the adults, with those. I suppose when it comes to teaching children as well, trying to it's a bit difficult to engage them if they have there's so many distractions
Yeah.
nowadays. um, and it's just trying to no, get them engaged within whatever they're doing. So that's very true. I suppose for me, so Marina, I was rather young when I started, mid 20s when I first started teaching. I was teaching kids as well, and as a teacher, you'd have to try and first negotiate with the learners and also negotiate with the adults who are dealing that you're dealing with. If it's adults that you're teaching, and you're quite young yourself, then it's trying to develop that professional respect. They've chosen you because you are best suited for them, and sometimes it doesn't go well. Sometimes students that join you and or have lessons with you, it works both ways as a teacher. So for you, you can you have as much right to say, well, I don't think this is working for me, so I wish you luck, and I hope you find a suitable tutor. So maintaining that professionalism, that mutual respect, goes a long way nowadays, rather than placing yourself lower than the student. You should be both equal, regardless of what the age is. Right now, a couple of things. So, yep, thank you ever so much. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, so I'm not going to look at that. Right, he did have another question. We'll probably come back to that in a moment. Marina says, how to make my sessions more fun. So, quite an interesting question. How can you make your lessons or your classes, whether it's online, face-to-face, more interesting, more fun, more engaging? I suppose that is related to this question. How can we engage and interest and encourage our students? So any thoughts?
Okay. So again, I'm going to my niche again here.
Sure,
Like I teach, yeah. So you can share what your experience with teaching English students, and I'll share my experience here.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, as I said, that I mostly prepare students for these, exams like IGCSE, and there is a certain syllabus and certain pattern curriculum that you have to follow, right? So you do not get enough, like enough space there to add on the lessons, but you still there are multiple business concepts which students find it difficult to understand. So in that case, what I do is that I share the real world examples with them to make
Mm-hmm.
it more interesting, right? So they are connected with the real world, that what is happening around in the business world. So I share examples that what is happening in the US market right now, like what is happening with Tesla. If they are interested,
Mm-hmm.
I get to know what their interests are, what their hobbies are. Like, most of the time, guys, they are looking for the cars and all that stuff, right? So I try to give the examples which they are going to feel that, okay, this clicks us to us and this makes sense to them. So
Mm-hmm.
you need to know your students uh, very well, so you can cater them and you can make them understand in their way. Okay, so you do not there is not one way of teaching. You
Mm.
have to adapt to the different needs of your different students, right? So this is one way that I do, that I try to connect it with the real world. In the other thing is that there are multiple case studies which are tested on these exams. So I try to make sense out of it, that whatever terminology or whatever theoretical thing that we are learning in this subject, how it is connected to the how can we solve this case study. Now you have to think from the perspective of business manager. Now you are the business manager, and this is the problem that you are facing. How are you going to solve that? So there I try to ask for their input and whatever. So it's not just that I have prepared the PowerPoint presentation and these are the bullet points that I'm trying, I'll explain to you. This is not it, it's not one way. It is always two way. So at the end of the session, we have one case study or past paper question and this one business scenario basically. So I first present the business scenario, we read that business scenario together, and then we
Mm-hmm.
try to solve that business case study together. This way they are not only retaining whatever they have learned in the session, but they are
Mm-hmm.
also applying whatever they have learned. So now I know that they are going to retain this for a long time if they feel interested in this case study or the topic that we have discussed. So this is
Sure.
how I make it more interesting and engaging with my students.
Okay. Right. Well, yeah, for me, Yeah, finding things which would interest them as a language tutor, so slightly different context, I guess. Games,
Yeah.
usually at the end of the lesson. Marina says, I use games all the time. Um, if it's within one lesson and you're game, it's a bit too much. So I would recommend maybe a game nearer towards the end of the lesson. Now, thank you, Marina, for your questions. Oh, excuse me. I'm really sorry.
No
I
problem.
don't sneeze that often.
Bless you. I hope you.
Thank you. Right. Matthias made a very good point. If you're teaching kids, you need to treat them as adults, treat them with respect. And it's so easy to teach them when you make them equal to yourself. I think that's so important. It's so crucial, regardless of their age. As long as you treat them with respect, treat them maturely, then you'll find teaching the students a lot better. Marina says she has a few issues with setting boundaries, and I think maintaining that boundary between tutor and student is very important for your professionalism in
Yeah.
some regard. Yeah. Right. Now, there's one question here, and one thing Marina's asking is, how can I do a perfect lesson plan? So I'm going to share my slide, and I'm not sure if everyone is aware, but we've got Chat GPT, and you mentioned about Chat GPT before, Bushra. And for Marina, if you're thinking about making a lesson plan, Chat GPT could help you. So you could type in make a lesson plan or write a lesson plan for an English student at intermediate level about food. And then here we have Chat GPT sharing some ideas, and it gives you, and it's very interesting what they tend to include. So I'll just zoom in slightly so everyone can see that. So exploring food vocabulary level intermediate to improve the students' vocabulary related to food and develop their ability to talk about food in English. By the end of the lesson, the student will be able to X, Y, and Z, materials, procedure, and it's really done everything for you. So, one thing that I would recommend is if you are, wanting a lesson plan about teaching, and you're not sure how to go about it, then ChatGPT can certainly give you some inspiration. You don't have to follow everything here. Looking at the time, and you've got 5, 20, 30, 45, 50-minute lesson here, which could work quite effectively in an online lesson or a face-to-face class as well. So I hope that certainly helps, Marina. So there we are. Right. So, Bushra, I've also got your profile here. And one thing that I like to do is I like to look at tutors' profiles. So I can see here when it comes down to your profile, you've got, you've taught 158 lessons. You speak English. Your native language is Urdu. And you also have a introduction video, which is great. Yeah. What was the most difficult part about creating your profile?
Okay. So again, I am a business student. I think from that mindset. So for me,
Mhm.
before that you are creating your profile or before showcasing or being live on something, you have to do the enough research that who are your competitors, right? And what are they doing, what are the who is this, who is succeeding there, and what tactics they are using. Okay, so I, before making my profile, I did my research, and I saw and I analyzed the other tutors profile, that how are they portraying themselves. Then I used it as like what points to, and obviously that Preply's guideline is there to help you out, to make your profile stand out. So I used that. And then again, the one thing that I mentioned to the new tutors as well who are facing this problem, that you have to be empathetic, think from the perspective of student, and
Mm-hmm.
then write your about section and make your video. So this is what I did. I first introduced myself, that my qualifications and all that, to first make an impression that yes, I am qualified. And
Mm-hmm.
obviously the verified check also is give the enough authentication that you are verified. The other thing
Mm-hmm.
is, then you mention all the things that you can teach, like the most of the students I have seen in the Facebook group as well. Sorry, tutors. They complain in the tutors platform. They're in tutors what Facebook group is that Preply only allows us to teach one subject, so we are restricted. Like if I want to teach maths and
Mm-hmm.
English both, I can only teach maths there. Why can't I teach more? So here you have a chance to mention all the other offerings or all the other subjects which you can teach. So the mistake that I made earlier was that I only included business as my subject.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can see that I have given a list that what are the other subjects that I have can help you out with. So I
Mm-hmm.
also teach business. I don't only teach business to like IGCSE or IB students. I also
Mm-hmm.
cater to university students, and I offer the other entrance exams as well. I also prepare students for SATs. I also help students who are facing problem with business English. So once and the effective, I'll tell you about the effectiveness of this. I got one student who was around 46-year old, and he was Italian. The problem was that he was unable to speak English when it comes to like business English, and he is right now the project manager of one of the well renowned fashion business that we know. So the problem that he faced was he was as he was as he's Italian. He's not very fluent in English, and he did not know how to cater with the Americans, how to make the presentations. So
Mm-hmm.
by adding all the things that this is what I can offer, he searched my profile, he read that about section, and then
Mm-hmm.
he booked a trial lesson, and he discussed with me that this is the problem that I am facing. I know
Mm-hmm.
as he's a project manager, he know that I know the technical side of what I am doing, but how to
Mm-hmm.
explain it to the Americans, or how to deal with someone who is layman, who doesn't know about these technicalities. So here
Sure.
I need your help. So as I'm a business graduate, so I know that how to make a better presentations, or how to present yourself when you are in a business meeting or so far.
Mm.
So by then again, the about section, it gives you that freedom that you have to give out all the skills or all the things that you can offer. So this is how you can again stand out.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for sharing. And so, yes, I can see here, with your profile, the sort of subjects that you could include and the different subjects that you're offering, which is great. So, looking at not just business, but business management and all the various other subjects. You got your diploma that's verified, and you got a variety of different reviews, which is great. So that's great to see. And also, you've included quite a lot within your profile there. Okay, right. I'm going to try and bring in Francisco. He's yeah. I'm very sorry. I hope he's patient. Are you there, Francisco? How's your connection? Can you hear us? All right. N- n-
I am here. Yes, I can listen both of you.
Okay, I can hear you, but yes, I'm very sorry about your connection. Right. Let's have a look at your profile. So I do have your profile here. So I'll share this instead. And I can see here that you speak English. You're a native Spanish speaker, of course, from Colombia. Um, and I certainly enjoy Colombian coffee. um, and you also have one review. So I guess
Yes, of course.
mhm. I guess you're quite new on Preply. Is that right? You've taught 260 lessons, which is good. What challenges have you faced when teaching via Preply, Francisco?
Okay, well, particularly, yes, I've been given the opportunity to teach many students from many parts of the world. Yes, I was perhaps one of the first challenges I could find is, for example, how to get used to the different time zones. For example, I just
Hmm.
mentioned when I had a student which who was living on the Netherlands. Yes,
Hmm.
and it was until a few weeks ago,
Hmm.
because well, in that moment it was 6 hour different at 6 hour difference
Hmm.
between the Netherlands and here, and well,
Hmm.
it was quite a challenge. Yes, so it in those cases it wasn't just yes how to prepare your classes or but
Hmm.
to make sure you are going to do it on time, yes, so you can
Hmm.
get along with the student or get synchronized. Yes, particularly I had a similar challenge, yes, with another student. a that other student is from Peru, and
Hmm.
he is living right there in Peru. However, by an unknown reason, nor he nor I know, yes, when I see his time zone, yes, it appears that there is that he is somewhere else, yes, because
Mm.
we can see and it appears like a 5 hour difference. So it was difficult at first, yes, but later when we could finally just realize we were on the same hemisphere in the same side of the world. Yes, so we could finally get along and start conducting the lessons.
Yeah. Interesting point about the time zone. For me, when I teach online, I have students that either tune in or they have lessons from me and they're from Colombia or Peru, Chile. And yeah, the time is like 5 or 6 hours behind my time. So it's a bit strange. um, but then I have students that are from the other side of the world in Asia, and they're 5, 6, 7, 8 hours ahead of me. So it's a bit difficult with the timing, of course.
Yes, it
Um,
may be at first,
mhm.
but certainly
Yeah,
when you finally get used, that is Tuesday. That is Tuesday for us.
yes, that's true. Right. Well, let's see if I've got another question here. As you've only been tutoring for 200 odd lessons now and properly, which is great. Um, what's the best experience you've had on Preply, Francisco?
All right. Well, perhaps one of the most memorable experiences was from one student. Yes, particularly that same student I was teaching, living in the Netherlands.
Hmm.
She was very happy. She was very happy when we had our last lesson. Yes, because
Hmm.
she could begin differentiate particular topic she was struggling with. Yes, so she was already capable of speaking English just perfect. that's the main problem she was facing is yes, how to differentiate between one time tense or another, for example, present tense, past tense.
Hmm.
How do we know we are using one or another one? Yes. So when we got right there to that point, yes, uh, I I resort to prepare other activities, yes, in order to help her to be able to differentiate among the many of them. Yes. First,
Hmm.
at first, yes, she asked me yes to make the decisions quite quick. Yes, I it wasn't the it was the it was the first time for me to do it that way. So that include in that particular case to prepare some dynamic activities like memory match and some
Hmm.
other things. Yes, in order to make sure she can uh, identify. Yes, not only when it came to the different time tenses, but any other topics in order to assist her acquiring more grammar and formal structure. Yes, because yes, of
Hmm.
course, she already knew to speak. Yes, she could speak well. Yes, I
And
must
it was
recognize it.
learning the different grammar, past and
Yes,
future,
of
present.
course.
Yeah.
That was the part. That was the Greek right there in that case.
Uh-huh. Right. Well, thank you ever so much, Francisco. I'm very sorry about the internet connection, or the connection issue that I had today. So my apologies to you and everyone. I know that Bushra, you have a lesson shortly. Is that correct? Sorry, if I could ask you to unmute.
Yes, I have a lesson. Sorry.
Okay. Well, I'll let you go so that you're on time. I don't want you to be
Thank
late, of
you. Thank you
course.
for this. Yeah, thank you for this opportunity. I hope that there will be more opportunities like this in the future. And
Mhm.
great knowing you as well, Francesco. Hope you are doing well and all the best in your tutoring journey. And I learned a
Exactly.
lot
Yeah.
from you. You are one of my mentor, Martin. So yeah, it
Mhm.
was a great experience sharing my journey with you, and I learned a lot. So have a great
Mhm.
day.
You too. Thank you ever so much. I've put a link to your profile and Francisco's profile in the chat. So wherever you're tuning from, either on Facebook or YouTube. So please have a look at their profile. I'm sure you'll learn quite a lot. And please book that lesson with Bushra or Francisco. Yeah.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank
So I'll
you.
let you go.
Thank thank
So
you.
thank you ever so much, Bushra. Thank you ever so much, Francisco. And I'm just going to say
Thank you.
goodbye to everyone. So thank you. And again, so thank you to everyone who has tuned in. And for all your questions in the comments. It's great to have so many questions. We had Mattia here saying that he's used AI programs to incorporate with his teaching. The thing about Chat GPT, if I pronounce it correctly, is that it's a very powerful tool. However, as with any forms of technology, and a but, I would always recommend a sense of cautiousness. So the lesson plan that I shared before, so if I can bring that up about food, and so you can see here, I asked ChatGPT to write a lesson plan for an English student at intermediate level about food. And it did come up with some lovely ideas and sort of procedure, homework, materials that are required. So it really gives you quite a lot of inspiration, and that's all I would recommend when it comes down to technology, is to use it as a tool for inspiration rather than sticking rigidly to what's suggested. Give that sort of flexibility, because it doesn't necessarily give you an idea about the student you're teaching. And so make sure that you're planning your lessons for the students that you're teaching, because you know your students best. Okay. So thank you ever so much for that comment. And also, Marina, thank you ever so much for your questions. Some great questions that were had today. And also, one time I was teaching online, everyone pretended that they had an internet connection. I suppose, yes, if you're teaching online, you can you can have that sort of that room that to say, okay, well, my internet connection isn't so good, or you can just put it, turn your camera off and engage that way. But I'm going to finish here today. So thank you ever so much for everyone who has joined in. Just a reminder, live stream is every Saturday at 1 p.m. UK time. And what I'll do is I'll see you next Saturday. If you want to join future live stream, feel free to message me or contact me. It'd be great to have you on board. But have a lovely weekend, everyone, and wherever you're tuning in from, whether it's the UK, where I'm based, or Europe, Americas, or Southeast Asia. So thank you ever so much. All right, and thank you ever so much to both individuals, Bushra and Francisco, for tuning in, and also their contribution today. It was great. So thank you. Take care, everyone, and have a lovely weekend, and keep on teaching. Bye-bye.